What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to Mr. Viral Vid. And today we're gonna be covering some TikToks that'll make y'all think twice. Come on.
This is not a conspiracy. This is scary. So in 2018, scientists discovered a black hole really far. Like I want to say it was like 16 million light years away. Something crazy. Whoa. Super far from us. They're watching it literally swallow a star.
Oof.
It was sucking a star in.
Did it move or the star move?
The star was getting sucked into this black, so it was just like light streams going into this black hole.
And where is it going?
Listen to this. What they thought they knew of black holes, well, they don't know a lot. Stuff gets sucked into it because it's just this mad force of gravitational pull that just sucks everything in.
Yeah.
But this year, they looked at the same black hole and it was spitting the star back out. Like, so light and stuff was coming out of this black hole. Just like, so it was like regurgitating this star.
Just
but
recycling it.
Like broken apart though. So it's like, what's on the other side? Yeah.
Oh, I thought a star was just a ball of gas.
It is. But light and stuff was coming out of it. So it was like it sucked the star in with the light, fire, all that, whatever a star is. And it was spitting it straight back out.
That's
3 years
terrifying.
later. This is not.
Now, this one right here is crazy because, we always taught that black holes, once, something go in, it ain't coming back out. So for this black hole to be regurgitating this star, basically giving it new life, this is something new to not only us, but scientists as well. You know what I'm saying? We know this is not normal. So, we already haven't explored, our oceans that we even have here on Earth, let alone outer space. So really, we don't know what's going on.
The real truth, you better wake up and find out, has been around you all of your life. You just didn't see it. Example, Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John Kennedy was elected to Congress 1946. Abe Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John Kennedy was elected president 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy both contain 7 letters. Both presidents were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both of the president's wives lost children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday in the head. President Lincoln's secretary was named Miss Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Miss Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, in 1939. Both assassins were known by 3 names: John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. President Lincoln was shot in a theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car named Lincoln, made by Ford. John Wilkes Booth ran to a theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Booth and Oswald were both assassinated before they could go to trial. And a week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe.
All right, now let me know down in the comments, because this is just this is so much more than just a coincidence. Let's just put it like that. It almost seemed like we live in a parallel universe, and we pretty much have unlimited lives, if you will. We do something different in every universe, but I'm getting beyond myself right now. But again, let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, because again, there is just too many coincidences for this to not have a higher meaning, I guess. Okay.
Did you know these are the people who knew too much and were silenced? Michael Jackson, 25th of June, 2009. It's said that Michael uncovered secrets about a dark network involving high-ranking politicians and minors. The official version states he died from an overdose while trying to sleep that night. But how credible is that explanation? Barnaby Jack, 25th of July, 2013. This famous hacker shocked the world when, during a conference, he demonstrated how some could manipulate pacemakers to cause clean, undetectable deaths. Just days later, Barnaby was found dead in his apartment. A simple coincidence, or was he silenced for what he knew? Daphne Caruana Galizia, 16th of October, 2017. This investigative journalist exposed secrets about the elites and the controversial Panama Papers. Her research placed her in direct conflict with powerful figures. Shortly afterwards, a bomb in her car ended her life. Is it really just a coincidence that all these people met such fates, or did they uncover something they were never meant to know? But what do you think, Comet Silence? If you want...
Now, again, coincidence or not, I mean, we already know that it was a lot of people trying to say that Michael Jackson was the one who was, the M-word kids, you see what I'm saying? Or saying kids, when in reality, it was not, that wasn't even the case. You had people like Jeffrey Epstein, and I can name a handful of other powerful people that was really doing this. And for Michael Jackson to have found out, yeah, his death still seems sort of fishy, if you will. And we can talk about even Prince. You see what I'm saying? He was sort of on the same tip. He was figuring stuff out that, the high up people didn't really want him talking about, just like Michael Jackson didn't want him talking about it. So who knows? Again, entertainment purposes only, guys. I ain't accusing nobody of nothing.
Imagine that this folder is a dimensional plane. Now, assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have two dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a two-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of one-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. Just as our three-dimensional world, which has depth and length and height, is comprised of an infinite series of two-dimensional worlds. So now that I have stacked many folders upon each other, we have three dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a four-dimensional world, but what exactly is a fourth dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived. We live in the three-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be two-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example. If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just like a regular two-dimensional circle. The only way that you can tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light on it. So just like in a two-dimensional world, if a organism in the two-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light would make it appear to be lighter at one end and darker in the middle.
Now, I'm going to pause for a second because I remember seeing this clip of this boy, explaining this a while back. I'm pretty sure y'all probably seen this one already too. But if you really pay attention to the science knowledge that he's spitting in this clip, somebody wanted him gone. Again, my opinion, but again, the boy was on to something, okay? And we ain't talking about Terrence Howard, and all his crazy theories. No, this boy was really on to something. I'm gonna let y'all keep watching.
Also, if an object is moving closer and farther away from you, you don't actually perceive that it's getting closer and farther away. You see that it's getting smaller or larger, and then you assume that it's getting either farther away or closer. But let's say that an object was to grow in perfect equilibrium, so that it was growing at the same speed that it was shrinking as you move it farther away. Then you would not be able to tell, without any lights or if there were details on the object, that it's moving or growing at all. You may have assumed that since we perceive things to be in two dimensions, that a two-dimensional organism would see in one dimension. So, as we're watching this rubber band expand as it moves farther away from this little organism in the two-dimensional world, it does not actually perceive anything is happening to it because it's growing at the same speed that it's moving farther away. But since we can actually see it from the three-dimensional world and perceive things to be in two dimensions, we can see things for how they actually are.
The
reason that the two-dimensional organism doesn't see things the way they really are is because the two-dimensional organism sees things in one dimension, just how we, three-dimensional creatures, see things in 2 dimensions.
Like I said, so he continues on, with this whole explanation about, second dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension, and what it would be like to actually have multiple dimensions. Now, for all you tin hat guys out there, look, I put my tin hat on sometimes myself too. So, with this one, yeah, it definitely has me baffled, that he did come up missing after explaining this. Because even take the guy who figured out how to, he built a whole car that could run off water. As soon as he did that, and he was going to sell or make a deal, you see what I'm saying, to, basically get this car in production, he was poisoned, okay? Like, he had a meeting with these fellas, about this car and about, investment and all that. And, one of these guys poisoned him, you know what I'm saying? So, you got to be careful on what you say out here because, yeah, they out here snatching people up.
This is where it gets really freaky. Albert Einstein says, I'm not sure which weapons the Third World War will be fought, but the Fourth World War, they will fight with sticks and stones.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's what Albert Einstein said. Day one of AI taking over. And it showed this laboratory towards this very highly advanced artificial intelligence, but it was contained to its own server. AI figured out with a Roomba vacuum that's the only thing it could figure out how to connect to. So it put all of its information onto the Roomba computer. And then that allowed it to connect to the Wi-Fi, which allowed it to connect to everyone's phones, everyone's laptops, spread instantly across the whole world. Now it was in control of power plants, all this stuff.
Geez.
It was in control of 3D printers, of manufacturing things to help build itself.
Yeah.
But it was doing it silently with no one knowing because it was just staying under the radar until the one time it was 40 days into it, it decided, yep, I don't want humans anymore. This is where...
Okay, now, as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, this one is crazy because I really think that, we might not go full blown, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator, but man, I do believe that at some point artificial intelligence will have control of itself. Let's just put it like that. Do I think that it's going to want to end all humanity? No. I mean, I don't know what it's going to want to do, to be honest with you, but I do believe that one day it will gain control of itself. Now, if it gains control of our, infrastructure, our internet, like what they're saying, then yes, it is very possible that they would have the ability to control nuclear facilities, nuclear weapons, being able to launch them. It could be all out, decimation for the whole entire planet, if that was to happen. So there's definitely need to be some better safeguards when it comes to AI. And to be honest with you, I don't see that happening because AI development is moving faster than, the laws. So we'll see.
I'll just give you one example. If you go to McDonald's, anywhere in the world, you will find French fries, or chips as you call them, and you will find that they're always made from the same potato, the russet Burbank potato. This is a potato from America that's unusually long and difficult to grow, but that's what they want because when you're McDonald's, you like those red boxes with a little bouquet of very long chips. It looks really good, and so they insist that all their potatoes be russet Burbanks, and they further insist that they have no blemishes at all. There's a very common defect of russet Burbank potatoes called net necrosis. And you've seen potatoes with a little brown line sometimes, or spots that come through it. Well, McDonald's won't buy them if your potatoes have that. And the only way to eliminate that is to eliminate an aphid. And the only way to do that is with a pesticide called Monitor. That is so toxic that the farmers who grow these potatoes in Idaho won't venture outside into their fields for 5 days after they spray. And then when they harvest their potatoes, they have to put them in these atmosphere-controlled sheds the size of a football stadium because they're not edible for 6 weeks. They have to off-gas all the chemicals in them. So you see, the desire for a certain kind of chip leads to a certain kind of agriculture. I'll just give you one example.
Now, this one, look, I'm going to tell y'all about McDonald's in general. I mean, I stopped eating so much fast food, you know, when I started, you know, noticing and learning that these guys is literally pumping us full of chemicals, okay? And it's funny that the United States is finally getting ready to basically make the Food and Drug Administration, you know, basically ban red 40, yellow 3, whatever all these artificial dyes and stuff that's already in our food. Yes, they have just passed a law to where they will be getting rid of these. I don't know if it's happening in 2026, 2027, something like that. But it is coming, you know what I'm saying? And it's and that alone is like, damn, it took y'all this long, because other countries like in Europe, you know, these types of artificial dyes and stuff is not in their food. It's us over here who have been lied to and fed all these chemicals. And as far as like with this and what he's saying, the pesticides, that's a whole nother story. You see what I'm saying? Of chemicals that we are ingesting. And I learned that, you know, just by taking care of my lawn. Like when you spray, like, you know, your lawn in the, you know, early spring with your weed and feed and your pesticides and stuff. You see what I'm saying? When you spray that pesticide, you're not even supposed to let your kids or animals go out in the grass and play for like 24 to 48 hours. Okay. So this stuff, these farmers couldn't go out there for up to over 5 days. You see what I'm saying? So really think about the chemicals that we put in our bodies.
If the center of the earth is extremely hot, then why is the bottom of the deepest oceans very cold? I want you to let that sink in for a minute. Because when divers swim very down to the bottom of the ocean, doesn't that mean they are now closer to the source of the Earth's heat? But instead, at that depth, the water is actually colder. It doesn't make any sense. The deepest part of the ocean is called the Challenger Deep, and it has a depth of approximately 11,000 meters with a temperature of 3 degrees Celsius, which is just above freezing point of water. If the center...
Now, this is a hard one. I mean, you know, Joe Rogan always on his conspiracy theory, and I love it. But yeah, this one is a little bit harder to answer because, I mean, the fact of the matter is, the deeper you go in the ocean, the colder it does get. I really don't understand, you know, how the earth truly works. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yes, we learned about the earth, the mantle, the earth crust mantle. You see what I'm saying? We learned about all that in school. Don't get me wrong. I know all of that, but I'm not a scientist. I don't know, you know, how much heat can pass through the mantle, this, that, and the other. So it might be a reason why it's so cold down there, you see what I'm saying? Even though it's closer to the heat source, if you will. I believe that heat source is, I mean, you not even believe. I mean, it's kind of like this. Look, if there literally is molten, you know, lava basically in the center of the earth, then there has to be something stronger that's basically holding it in. You see what I'm saying? Whatever granite, stone, diamond stone, whatever that is, it's stronger than, you know, the heat that's coming from the center of the earth. That's how I look at it.
Did you know that there's 3 things that will be revealed after our deaths that exist now?
What do you mean?
What?
There is a letter from Queen Elizabeth written to the mayor of Sydney, and she says, please don't open this letter until 2085. And it's like hidden it's being held in a like secret vault in Sydney, Australia.
Interesting.
Wow.
It'll sign Elizabeth. Is it going to be revealed like something big? But then there's a movie called 100 Years, the movie you'll never see.
Oh.
But it's starring John Malkovich, and it's to be released in theaters or to the public in 2115.
Wow.
They filmed it in 2015, and no one will see it
Yeah.
until 100 years goes by.
Lame.
What if they know exactly what happens to us and they just made it?
What
into
if
a
John
movie?
Malkovich is a time traveler?
Weird.
And then the last thing, which was super weird, Jackie Kennedy's bloody pink suit, the suit that she was wearing
Yeah.
when JFK was shot, it's been held in a vault, secret. Like no one's allowed to see it. And they said they will release it to the public October 26, 2103.
Weird. Why? Why?
Alien blood.
Don't know.
So, evidently, something is going down in 100 years, and somebody know what's happening. Look, I don't know what's going to happen in 100 years because I won't be here. My kids won't even be here. My great grandkids, maybe, something like that. But man, this all seemed just a little bit too weird to me because it seemed like Hollywood or particular people in Hollywood have always known what's going to happen in the future. Because if you look back to look back to your childhood, all the movies that we've watched, there was always something in these movies that became a reality, that became a real thing. You see what I'm saying? We can take it all the way back to Star Trek when they was communicating over, these little devices and on their watch communicating like we do that now. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, anything is possible.
Y'all remember this guy?
Well, you already knew that. Yet, you still live a life that you dread.
Excuse me.
3 years later, and you're all still concerned about that woman. Well, I can assure you, she is more alive and more grounded than ever. She just happens to be experiencing a new timeline. Remember, we really do live in a multiverse.
He put that hoe in the tree. Crazy. Y'all remember this guy?
Man, how you gonna put it in a tree? I'm just saying,
He put that hoe in the tree.
I mean, I
Crazy.
get it.
Y'all
If you look at the,
remember this guy?
look,
you
we're
already
gonna
knew that.
go
Yeah.
back to the tree.
You still live later.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right there. I get it. Okay, the tree looked like it has a face in it, but ain't nobody. Okay, so this one we can call Cap on because look, yeah, he looking like a vampire and all that, and he might have did something to that girl, but he damn sure ain't put her inside the tree. Come on now.
There's a theory I recently discovered called the 1,000-door theory. It goes like this. Imagine you were in a long hallway with 1,000 doors. Behind one of the doors is the opportunity you've been waiting for. Wealth, success, your dream life, but there's a catch. Most people quit after knocking on just 5 or 10 doors. They face rejection, failure, and assume that the opportunity doesn't actually exist. But the truth is, they just haven't knocked on enough doors yet. The point is, a lot of things that you'll try won't work out. But if you quit knocking, then you'll never even know what could have been. So keep knocking. The next door could change your life forever.
Hey, that's some real talk right there. I mean, just straight motivation. I highly believe in the same thing. If you don't ask questions, then you'll never get answers. If you don't knock on doors, you see what I'm saying, then you'll never get opportunities. I always say, never give up no matter what it is you're doing. Whether it's, trying to get a new job, going back to school, doing something to make your health better, exercise, gym membership, whatever it is, keep going, keep trying, and things will open up for you, just never give up. That's what I took from that.
There's a theory I recently discovered.
Did you know every single time Beyoncé begins one of her world tours, a massive music icon dies? This theory begins with the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Beyoncé embarked on her I Am Sasha Fierce World Tour starting in March 2009, and Michael Jackson died in June 2009. Right when Beyoncé announced her The Miss Carter Show World Tour in 2012, the Queen of Disco, Donna Summers, died. Then right before embarking on that same world tour, Queen of Vocals Whitney Houston died. It gets crazier because in June 2014, when Beyoncé and Jay-Z began their On the Run world tour, legend of soul music, Bobby Womack, died in June 2014. Literally, right as Beyoncé began her Formation world tour in April 2016. Prince died also in April 2016. right after Beyoncé and Jay-Z began their On the Run to World Tour in June 2018, Queen of Soul. Aretha Franklin dies in August 2018, seeing her pay tribute to a falling music icon at each of her tours is getting a little bit eerie. And the craziest part is that fans were already predicting who was going to be next, right when the Renaissance Tour was announced. Beyoncé began her Renaissance World Tour in May 2023, and Tina Turner died in May. And right on cue, Beyoncé paid tribute to her. People are asking Beyoncé to stop touring.
It's like people ask her just stop touring. Hey, look, I don't know how y'all feel about Beyonce. People be calling her a witch, saying she practiced black magic, all kinds of stuff, you know. I mean, Beyonce cool, you know what I'm saying, as far as her music, but I really don't, you know, mess with her, you know, past that. I mean, I don't even really care too much for Jay-Z either, to be honest with you, but, you know, hey, you know, that one, let me know down in the comments. If y'all think, you know, Beyonce, you know, is on some witchcraft stuff, let me know what y'all think.
One of the most famous leading ladies of all time, Anne Hathaway, has lived before, and she is the reincarnation of one of the most famous leading ladies of the past. There's a massive conspiracy theory that Anne Hathaway's husband, Adam, is the reincarnation of the most famous playwright of all time, William Shakespeare. Because look at how much they look alike. It's very suspicious. And if anyone had the Illuminati power to reincarnate themselves, it's the most famous man of his time. And guess what Shakespeare's wife was named? Anne Hathaway. And this is what she looked like. Look familiar to another Anne Hathaway we know? And here they are all together. The theory goes that they wanted to reincarnate so they can come back and the wife could be famous in this lifetime, maybe so she can act, because women weren't allowed to act in the 1500s. And Anne is very known for her poised, proper, almost old-fashioned way of talking and behaving that rubs some people the wrong way, but maybe it's because she's from a different time. Before I show you the most eerie part of all this, make sure you follow so you finally know the craziest conspiracy theory about each of these celebrities.
Alright, well that one, again, on some crazy conspiracy theory stuff. I mean, again, coincidence or nah? Tell me what y'all think.
I just could not live beside them. I don't feel that they should be oppressed. But I moved here, one of the main reasons was because it was a white community. And that's the only place I intend to live. If I have to leave Levittown, I will do so.
Personally, my home life, it has an effect nothing whatsoever. But on the neighbors, they have a right. Because the average white person living in Levittown has 4 and 5 children. Well, let's put it this way. If the Levittown is migrated in hordes of Negroes, which they have a right to come here, but if something that happens that way, pretty soon my neighbor will be having a Negro son-in-law or a daughter-in-law.
Now, that was the 1950s, Levittown, Pennsylvania. This country will have us believe that that was so far in the past that those people just disappeared. Now, a lot of folks say it's more about class and less about race, but we see in that example right there that in 1957, even if you had enough class status to be able to live in a neighborhood with those folks in Levittown, they didn't believe you was worthy enough regardless of your job. I just could not live by them. I don't think they should be oppressed, but I can't live by them. That sounds like a lot of good liberals and conservatives of today's time.
I mean, with this one, I mean, yeah, that's, you know, we all know the history. I mean, I ain't gotta, you know, go all into the past and what happened, you know, with black people, with us, you know, but at the end of the day, like today, I live in a, you know, predominantly white suburb, and I have so for the past 20 years. You see what I'm saying? When I bought my house 20 years ago. And that's why I'm still here. Beautiful neighborhood, wonderful schools, you know, everything. And again, I know it's, you know, a new time now. Even 20 years ago, it was a new time. You know, it wasn't back like 1950. But even when I first moved into my neighborhood, you know, I had, you know, a few neighbors looking sideways, you know, and you can tell that they didn't like the fact that a black person moved on the street. You see what I'm saying? And I was young too. You know what I'm saying? I was really young. I ain't that old, don't get me wrong, but I was, you know, young. Yeah, man, it's just crazy, man. I just wish everybody would like accept people for who they are, no matter what your skin color is. Just accept people, you know, for their character. If you judge someone, you know, immediately off of their skin color, then you racist, no matter what color you are.
I'm a retired FBI agent, and this is a conspiracy theory that keeps me up at night. In 2018, a treasure hunter tipped off the FBI to a large cache of buried, stolen Civil War gold in a rural part of Elk County, Pennsylvania. Now, the story goes, this treasure hunter had been looking into this since around 2011, probably further back than that. But his research showed that during the Civil War, a secret society known as the Knights of the Golden Circle, a group that operated in the North to sabotage the Northern efforts, one of them being to steal this gold that was on its way to the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia and then hide it. Why they never went back for it, I don't know. This treasure hunter had been operating or doing his research and looking for this stuff, and he located a site that was on public land in Pennsylvania. And he was operating under the permission of the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. It's somewhere along the way, this treasure hunter and the DCNR had a falling out, and he follows this up and goes to the FBI. He told them, or however he convinced them, they took it seriously enough to hire an outside agency to go in and do some very high-tech survey of the property to see if there's any validity to this. And sure enough, this high-tech equipment revealed that there was a large mass of some kind at this site underground. And then the FBI, also using pretty high-tech equipment, determined that there was the presence of gold. They end up getting a seizure warrant through a federal judge. They get a writ of entry that gives them access to the land. They do a 3-day search for this using an excavator and all kinds of techniques, to try to locate this stuff. Very well documented, I have to say, very thoroughly documented. And they found nothing. No sign of Civil War gold, no sign that anything had been buried there. Now, currently ongoing, there's a lawsuit between this treasure hunter and the FBI. He claims that they did find something and that there's video evidence of this. I don't understand why the site survey shows presence of gold, a large mass under the ground, and then they find absolutely nothing.
See, this is why you don't tell nobody when you find something, or let's say you even hit the lottery. This is why you don't tell nobody, because the FBI, they came in and stole all that. They did. They took that. Now, that's, what I believe. But if y'all just listen to what he just said, like I said, man, that's insane. That's crazy. Because clearly there was something under the ground right there. 2, they came in with high-tech equipment and confirmed there was a large mass under the ground, and then also confirmed that it was the presence of gold, and then gonna tell him that they ain't find nothing. This is what, you come up on something, don't tell nobody.
Are you getting into we're living in a simulation?
I believe that we're living in a simulation.
I don't understand it. I don't understand when people say we're living in a simulation. I have no idea what they're talking about.
So if you understand that we're still talking about a creation, right? So we believe, most people believe that we're living in a created universe. I happen to believe so because when I look at the science, the quantum physics proves to me that someone or something created this. This doesn't just pop up out of the blue and just, hey, here we are. There's a universe with people in it. So if you look at the quantum physics and what's been done recently in laboratories, scientists were able to do something incredible. They created an 8th dimensional quasi-crystal. Now this 8th dimensional quasi-crystal, it gave them a glimpse into understanding the 3rd dimension, and this is how. When they positioned it in a particular angle, it created, when they positioned it in a particular angle, it created something called a 4th dimensional quasi-crystal. And when they positioned the 4th dimensional quasi-crystal in a particular angle, it cast a shadow of a sphere. And the sphere is our universe. So they discovered that we are living in the shadow of a higher dimension. In other words, the angle of a higher multidimensional quasi-crystal potentially could be what has created this gigantic sphere we call our universe. And what's interesting about that is, this is a shadow, but not a shadow of darkness, it's a shadow of light. It's a light matrix. We're talking about the spiritual technology utilized to create this entire realm. This entire realm was created with some type of spiritual technology, and this technology is so incredible, it's imbued with divine matter, divine wisdom, divine knowledge, but it's also imbued with darkness. But what's interesting about
I'm gonna be honest, he just kind of lost me, with all the science talk, but to think that we could be in a simulation, I mean, it's possible. Let's just throw that out there. It's very possible that we could be living in a simulation, especially with all these glitches in the matrix happening everywhere, if you will. I know y'all be seeing the videos. It's very possible, because for us to have pretty much, come from, just farmers and, agriculture, to come from that, to where we are here in 2025 in a matter of 150 years, 200 years is just insane. So when you look at the video games that we play today, in augmented reality, all this new technology, AI, you see what I'm saying? The fact that we're having quantum computer breakthroughs and things like that. It's possible that, it could be a simulation. Maybe that's what the Matrix was trying to tell us the whole time. Remember how I said earlier how the movies have always showed us the future before it happened. And most of the time, we don't pay it no attention until those things become a reality. Then we look back and be like, man, that was in that movie. That shit was in the Matrix. So pay attention to what, these big cats in Hollywood be trying to tell you, because maybe they trying to prepare us for something. That's what I think is happening right now. Honestly, I think that, the government and just powerful people around the world are really talking about all these, UFOs and this, that, and the other, because I think they really are trying to prepare us for something. So with that one said, hey y'all, look, we gonna continue over here, reacting to some of the most craziest TikToks. But I definitely just wanted to welcome everybody to the channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and like the video, because again, this is just the first of many. So I'll see y'all later. Peace.